Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from dociamtired, who says, am I the asshole for not being very strict with my daughter at my house compared to my ex-wife, which has led to my ex-wife and I exchanging some words to each other. I, 43 male, have a daughter, 16 female, who I have joint custody over with my ex-wife, 39 female. We got divorced when my daughter was a baby and the court awarded 50-50 custody for the both of us. I will admit though, being a doctor comes with its consequences. I haven't been as present as I wish I could have been. When my daughter was 13, she started telling me things that her mum does or rules that she has in place over her, and how she thinks it's unfair. I'd listen to her and advise her to talk to her mum. My daughter would then ask if she has to obey those rules over here still, to which I said no. At first it was just small stuff that I find nitpicky, things like not being able to eat in the living room. As she's gotten older, she started making more requests for privileges in my house, and it's pretty much gone like this. Example 1. Mum doesn't let me hang out with friends during the week. I said, well, that's dumb. If you have a ride there and back, you can go with your friends. Example 2. Mum doesn't let me wear comfortable clothes around the house. She says I have to dress modestly. OP says, you can walk around the house naked for all I care. Example 3. You and Mum's houses don't have locks on my bedroom door. OP says, there isn't a lock. I can call a guy out and have him put a lock in for you if you want. Example 4. Mum doesn't let me drink soda. OP says, do you want soda? If so, I can order it with our groceries from Hy-Vee. You get the idea. I don't want to say I've become a doormat for my daughter, but I'm not nearly as stingy about rules. It's her house just as much as it's mine in my eyes. My ex-wife has recently been going off on my daughter and I about I'm letting her get away with any and everything, and how my lack of discipline at my house is leading her to break rules at her mother's house. I told my ex-wife that she should ease up on our daughter because she's almost a damn adult and doesn't need to be treated like a toddler. My ex-wife went bananas over the phone with me, and at her house, she went off on my daughter for being an undisciplined brat. My ex-wife is threatening to take me to court for custody if I don't straighten up my act, and I told her she can kiss my ass. It has me wondering though, am I being the asshole to my ex-wife? Is this bad dad behavior? I want my daughter to feel safe, comfortable, and happy, and I want to believe I'm doing that. If I'm being an asshole to my ex-wife, what do I do? So, as always with stories like this, we had people in the comments asking questions of OP, and OP replying to them. The first one said, not the asshole. The clothes and the door lock concern me. Is your ex remarried? Other kids in the house? Policing what she wears at home and calling it modest makes it seem like your child is some sort of sexual object and not a kid. Then the lock. It really sounds like she wants to keep people out. You should ask her about that more in depth. The other things some people are more strict on than others. Your ex cannot control what happens in your house. Whether she likes it or not, you are an equal parent. OP says, now that you mention the lock thing, that does seem concerning. I just passed it off as she wants her own privacy and left it as that. Before my daughter mentioned it, I didn't even know the door didn't have a lock. Someone asks, is it possible that religion might play a role in this situation for the rules at the mother's house? OP says, we're not Muslim. I'm an atheist. I'm pretty sure my daughter is too because I don't hear her talking about going to any form of mass. But my ex-wife is an Orthodox Christian. I don't remember the conversation in full, but it started when my daughter just wore a bra and shorts around her mum's house and when she was like 14, and her mum flipped. She doesn't let my daughter wear anything that's revealing or inappropriate around the house or in public. Me personally, I don't give a shit what my daughter does or doesn't wear. I've had multiple days that I've woken up on the weekend to get ready for work and my daughter is butt-ass naked cooking breakfast for herself or watching TV. My first thoughts are, oh my god, my daughter is naked, how blasphemous. It's damn, whatever she is cooking smells pretty good, or that TV show makes no sense to me. I've bought my daughter clothes that she wanted and didn't give too much thought to it. Someone says about does OP talk to his daughter on a regular basis about what's going on in her life? Opie says my daughter is pretty open with who she's with or where she is going. I do know that she's going to lie from time to time because she's a teenager and all teenagers do it. But I trust that she can hold her own. I bought her a thing of pepper spray that goes on her keychain with her car keys that she carries everywhere, so worst case she has something. I know a few of her friends that I've met at the house, but other than that, no, I don't know. Someone says, does Opie enforce rules at his house when his daughter is with him? Opie says, I do enforce other rules, such as she needs to have all her homework done before going out with friends. I need to see her report cards, she needs to do her chores, etc, etc. She doesn't fight me over them and does them usually without me asking, so she's very responsible. Opie on his job schedule and why he doesn't know what his ex has been up to after the divorce, and says, I work almost 16 hours every day. I still have to full-time parent to the best of my ability. I try not to pry into my ex-wife's life because most of it isn't any of my business unless it involves my daughter. I can ask though. Opie on his parenting his daughter and says, I'm not a perfect parent. No one is. I work insane hours and I'm using my day off to fight with my ex-wife about my daughter. Yes, I make mistakes. Yes, I'm not as present as I want to be. My daughter comes to me about a lot of things and I trust that she is responsible enough not to do insane things. Opie on having grown-up talks with his daughter and says, I've had grown-up talks with my daughter before and it's gone fairly well. My daughter told me before anyone else that she is bisexual and was dating a girl. She asked me to keep it a secret from her mum, so I did. She's not dating the girl anymore. But I did meet her and she seemed like a nice person. I've met a few of her friends, but not all of them. I'll try to do better with keeping up with that. And my daughter was okay with me putting Life 360 on her phone. My daughter doesn't do drugs and doesn't drink. I told her if someone offers her a drink or drugs, deny it and tell me. She said she promises to, and I trust her. As far as I know, my daughter hasn't engaged in any sexual activity. But I've had all the yucky talks with her. When she started having periods, I told her if she ever needs pads or tampons to let me know, and I'll make sure she gets them. I told her if she's going to have sex to make sure they are being safe. Condoms, consent, all that. I told her that in the unlikely event that she has sex and thinks she's pregnant or something happens that risks pregnancy, to let me know immediately, and I get her pregnancy tests and contraceptives. Now, like any parent, I told her not to have sex, but I also know that she's 16 and teenagers tend to do it anyway. So I'd rather her do it and be safe and know what recourses are available than do it without the education and end up in a bad situation. So within the same post, Opie gives an update and says, I've been talking to my daughter and ex-wife over the last several hours and have figured out a few things. 1, there is no other permanent resident at my ex's house. No boyfriend, no husband, no other kids, nothing like that. My ex does have this book club thing she hosts and has guests once a month, but all are adults. 2, my ex-wife doesn't let my daughter have a lock on her door because, and I quote, because I'm not going to give her the ability to hide her drugs or boyfriend she is sleeping with. 3, my ex doesn't let my daughter see her friends during the week because she says her friends are distractions to school. However, her report card says she is doing just fine academically. 4, my ex doesn't just control what she wears, but also won't let her use makeup or even watch/consume adult media. My daughter says that my ex called her attire slutty one time because she was wearing a shirt with no bra. My ex denies saying this, but I wouldn't put it past her. 5, I asked my daughter if she'd be okay with me searching her room. My daughter said she had nothing to hide. I looked around and guess what? No drugs, no vapes, no illegal plans to take over the US government. Nothing like that. Normal 16-year-old girl's room. 6, I asked my daughter if she'd have a problem with me putting Life 360 on her phone so I can see where she goes. She handed me her phone and said, again, she has nothing to hide so she doesn't care. 7, I did talk to my daughter about her attitude and treatment to her mother. She agreed that she has been acting out and said she will text or call me if she has an issue with something her mum is doing. She said she will respect her mother's rules, but she did ask me to talk to her about her mother's comments about her body. Apparently my daughter feels like her mother is sexualizing her and her body, and it makes her uncomfortable. I agreed to talk to her mum about it. So far that conversation is deadlocked because her mum will not let up on her whole modesty shit. 8, my daughter told my ex that she tried to take me to court. My daughter will ask a judge to live with me full time. More to come update-wise. Thank you for your input. So it was a week after this that OP came in with another update and says, I just want to say thank you to everyone who gave their input on the situation. Over the past 7 days, I've been going through a lot of stress between work, my daughter's reaction, and my ex-wife. To start, last Sunday, I had very long discussions with my ex-wife about our daughter. To not ramble on, daughter says it's called yapping now. I'll give you the short version. My ex-wife says that she has to be strict on my daughter so she doesn't turn out bad. She doesn't let my daughter wear makeup, hang out with her friends during the week, eat certain foods and drink certain drinks, consume certain media, have locks on her door, wear certain clothes, and she makes my daughter text her every hour she's not at school, but at the house on weekends, detailing who she is with, where she is at, and what they are doing. I talked to my daughter about her mother, and my daughter says her life over there is stressful, feeling like she's always being watched. She feels like she has no freedoms or autonomy, that is at the mercy of her mother. My daughter did admit that she's been acting out recently at her mother's house, but I can't really blame her. I talked to one of my female co-workers who has 3 daughters about the situation I'm in. She said she is worried about my ex-wife mentally abusing my daughter, and I agreed. Some of you online also pointed out that my ex-wife could be sexualizing and objectifying my daughter, to which I've also come to agree to. I know my daughter and my ex-wife have issues and have been butting heads on and off now for a while, but I didn't know it was this bad. Regardless, I talked to my daughter about her mother's rules at her house. If her mother doesn't want her eating in the living room or drinking Sprite, she's allowed to have that rule. I told her she cannot like it all she wants, but at the end of the day, they are not unreasonable requests. My daughter, though, very firmly asked me to talk to my ex-wife about the things that bug her the most. Those things are what she does and doesn't wear in the house, a lock on the door, and the rules in place about her friends. Only on the weekends and texting her mum constantly. I asked my daughter if she'd be okay with me tracking her on Life 360, and she said she's okay with me tracking her but not her mother. My daughter tells me pretty much everything, though sometimes I wish she didn't overshare information I don't need to know about, and she says she trusts me and knows I trust her, but she doesn't want her mum to be able to track her at all hours of the day. The lock on her door was something else we discussed. I asked my daughter why she wanted a lock on her door, and she provided information I absolutely did not need to know. But basically she wants privacy and to be alone sometimes. I checked her room out with her in the room and didn't find anything like drugs or plans to overthrow the Illuminati, so she's good on that front. When I asked her mother why she can't have a lock, she said it's because she, and I quote, doesn't want her having sex, doing drugs, and hiding things from her. Apparently my ex-wife just barges into her room and searches her things. I found that to be ridiculous and a complete violation of my daughter's privacy, and I bitched a fit to my ex about it. No wonder my ex doesn't know any of my daughter's and I's little secret, that she's bisexual. She can't even trust her mother not to go through her shit. Next, the whole issue about what she does and doesn't wear in the house. In my house, I couldn't give less of a fuck. Usually she walks around in a shirt with no bra, wearing boxers or some shit. Sometimes she wears normal clothes. Sometimes she goes nude. Sometimes she wears one of those full-body pajama suits. Don't give a shit, but she knows the rules about it. She had to leave the house wearing normal clothes, and she had to have normal clothes on when guests are at the house. When she's there alone or with me, she can do whatever. Her mum, on the other hand, has been sexualizing her daughter and making incredibly suggestive comments about her body. My ex denies doing this, but I don't think my daughter would lie about it. And knowing my ex-wife, she 100% said it. My ex has said my daughter dresses slutty, flaunts herself like a stripper, and is not a modest woman. Needless to say, this pissed me off 6 ways to Sunday, and we exchanged some heated words over the topic. My daughter came over to the house today for our 50-50 custody swap and immediately went and locked herself in her room. At first I thought maybe she was going to go and FaceTime her friends or something, so I let it be for a bit, but after she didn't come out after an hour or so, I knocked on her door. My daughter had been crying. I asked why, and she said that my ex told her she's going to take me to court and ensure I won't see her again. Just got done consoling my heartbroken daughter, typing out all this with her tears and snot on my nice shirt. There's the update. I say game on to my fucking bitch-ass ex-wife. So it was nearly 2 months after this that OP came in again and said, I forgot just how long and boring the courts process is. We just had our initial hearing and blessed my attorney. Before officially filing into court, I met with my ex-wife one last time. I brought my kiddo and my attorney with me so the three of us could talk and the attorney could mediate in a way. My ex-wife took the entire meetup as an attack on her rights to see my daughter, and now has her own attorney, so to court we go. My attorney advised my daughter and I to maintain 50-50 custody agreement until a judge changes it. So we did. You'd think my ex-wife would agree on it, but no, my bitch ex-wife tried to keep my daughter. My daughter thankfully recorded the entire screaming match between her and her mother before she got in the car and drove to my house herself. Sadly, we are a 2/all-party consent state, so my daughter and I are keeping that to ourselves. But I told her to send me screenshots of what her mother sent her while she was driving, and I can give it to the attorney. Fast forward to the actual hearing. I thought it was going to be nice and easy, but I forgot I live in America and literally nothing in our court system is easy. The judge scheduled another court date and said a GAL, G-A-L, which according to Google is guardian ad litem, would be appointed for my child. What was over a month of waiting was wrapped up in about an hour, and our next hearing is scheduled past the winter solstice and Christmas. When I got home, I told my daughter about what had happened and she was going to be speaking to an attorney called a GAL. She asked what to say to them. I told her to say whatever she wants to them, and to not let her mother or I dictate what she tells the attorney. That's her attorney, that she can tell whatever she wants to, and that's for them and her to know and know alone, even if it jabs at me or her mum. I apologize that this update is not as interesting or as exciting as you want. Unfortunately, the court system is not what it appears to be on Law and Order. It's painfully boring and pretty slow. So there was another commenter on the back of all of this. The commenter was downvoted, but Opie replied. It said, "Okay, I've read all your threads and have a few comments. I agree that your ex is a bit too strict, but you're also a bit too lenient. The two of you might have been able to find a middle ground with a little more communication. I would never have brought my attorney and the child to a discussion with the ex like that. That should have been between the two of you only. Involving your attorney and the child would have raised the hackles on most people. That was truly a mistake. I have no opinion on how this is going to come out since I haven't heard anything from your ex's point of view. But you do sound like a very good parent, and therefore if she is hoping to restrict your time with the child, I cannot see that happening at all. I ride the fence about the reverse." Opie says, "I've tried to meet her in the middle about things, but she does not budge. I've met with her and my daughter privately, and absolutely nothing has ever been accomplished in those meetups. I was hoping that if I brought my attorney along that time, my ex-wife would finally realize maybe she is the one not co-parenting, but it seems she is incapable." Commenter says, "You're doing everything right. Just keep pushing through. It'll all pay off in the end." Opie says, "Unfortunately, I can't really prove it without the video my daughter took, but technically what my daughter did is illegal in our state. She didn't know it was, so I don't fault her for it, but I can't provide it to an attorney." Commenter says, "Did you ask the attorney? I think the statutes specifically cover audio recordings. They may not cover video. When those laws were written, video recordings weren't a concern. Your lawyer may know of a legal loophole to allow its use. Might be as simple as a minor can't be expected to know and follow this law, so the video should be admitted. Long story short, make sure you ran this by your lawyer. I'm unclear if you did that already. It's a long hair, but worth the call. Don't put it in writing." Opie says, "I didn't ask my attorney or tell them out of fear for my daughter hurting the case. I know my daughter didn't do it on purpose and didn't know that law, but I don't want to give my ex-wife the ammunition of, 'See, he's spying on me. He's sending his daughter in to record our private conversations.'" And one more says, "Info. I saw in your first post that your daughter is 16. How close is she to 17? Reason for this is, insert, I'm not a lawyer here, most states start taking the kid's wishes much more seriously in custody cases." Opie says, "She will turn 17 soon." It's one of those stories where you can see like a Reddit post in the future simply titled something along the lines of, "Why doesn't my daughter talk to me anymore?" And many of the commenters saying similar, people relating to the stories in the way that they grew up at the same time. Some people saying, the conflicting parenting styles here is going to do damage in the long term. But what do you guys make of this situation? How did it make you feel? What do you think is going to happen? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Inspector Minimum 5518 and says, am I the arsehole for leaving early after my girlfriend's kids mocked my name and she brushed it off? Throwaway account. I, male 40, have been seeing a woman, female 36, since July. She's fun to hang out with. I have a busy work schedule and she has 2 kids, so we usually get together when she's child free and I'm not working. She asked me to meet her kids in October, but I told her I wasn't ready. She asked again in November and I said maybe after the holiday season. On Saturday, I was supposed to go to her place at 5 p.m. When I arrived, her kids were there. I introduced myself. I'm French Canadian and my name is common in both French and English. I always introduce myself by saying, hi, I'm Sebastien. Just adding this in whilst I'm editing the audio. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. In the French way. But I tell people they can call me Sebastian or Seb if they like. The kids, 10 and 12 girls, started laughing and said, Sebastian, what a stupid name. They started making fun of my name. I said it's actually French since I'm French Canadian. They started laughing even harder. Then their mum came in and said their dad was supposed to pick them up, but he had cancelled, but that it was okay and we could have a nice family dinner. The kids again said, yeah, with Sebastian. Their mum smiled and said they're just kids and laugh at silly things. I felt very uncomfortable. I made an excuse and left within about 15 minutes. Now my girlfriend is mad, saying I bailed on her and ran away as soon as I saw the kids, like a pathetic coward. Was I an arsehole? Did I overreact to the kids' behavior and her brushing it off? The whole thing made me feel really uncomfortable. So the first commenter said to OP, so you were basically bullied by a 10 and 12-year-old boy. If a guy can't handle a joke, go out to your name and run out the door. Probably wasn't the right one for my mum anyway, to be honest. OP says you really think the solution was engaging and bullying back a bunch of kids. Commenter says you left because her kids thought your name was funny. I don't get it. Why would you let her girls intimidate you like that? I'm just not understanding what the real problem is. I think you just aren't a kid person. OP says it wasn't my job to parent them, and I didn't like being mocked. I left. Commenter says not your kids, but you do understand if their parents haven't been divorced long, they're probably out to sabotage any relationship, hoping they get back together. OP says they've been divorced for 3 years. Commenter says introducing you to the kids after 4 months is wild. OP said yeah. OP said she was a package deal and it's important to see if her kids like me. I wasn't feel comfortable yet, so I suggested at least after the holiday season. Commenter replied saying, and she's right, they are a package deal. But as a single mother myself, I wouldn't dream of introducing a boyfriend so soon. It adds so much pressure to force a relationship to work for the kids. Kids get attached or you could be a complete creep. Not saying that you are. You set a boundary saying you weren't comfortable and she blew past that. OP says, no, I agree with you. Ideally, I wanted to meet them after a year at least. Commenter says, so her response is to call you a coward. That's dumping worthy. OP replied saying, she said I was a coward for running away. And a commenter said, your partner has shown you her true colors twice. 1, when she didn't reprimand her daughters for being disrespectful. 2, when she assaulted you for leaving a situation that made you uncomfortable. She name-called you after letting her daughters mock you. They learned their behavior somewhere, but luckily for you, you didn't have to dig too deep to find out where. I know what I would do in this situation. Not the arsehole. And a commenter said, I agree with you. I live in a very English-speaking province, so I'm used to my name sounding weird to some people. But the worst part wasn't that. It was really the way she handled her children, letting her daughters be disrespectful and then insulting me because I left an uncomfortable situation is just not right. Children learn something, and it wasn't hard to see where it was coming from. I think it's more the mum's reaction in this that's caused the issue here. You know, it didn't really feel like it was about the kids making a, air quotes, joke. It was more about the respect. Kids are going to test boundaries, right? Kids are going to be knobheads sometimes. But it's the parents' job to correct them when they do step out of line, and instead, she laughed it off, ignored him being uncomfortable in the situation, and insulted him for leaving. But OP did update the post and says, I wasn't planning to post an update, but here it is. Since yesterday, my now ex has spiraled. She sent me like 20 messages in the morning on Instagram saying what a loser I am, that I'm a weak, pathetic pussy, that I would be a terrible stepdad, and that she was planning to have a baby with me. Well, that was news to me because we never talked about this. Then she deleted all of them. Holy shit, bullet dodged. When I checked my phone after my work meeting, she had sent another 20 messages saying how she misses me, that we could get through this, that we belong to each other, and asking me to call her. I didn't answer. She deleted those two and then sent another million messages swearing at me. She deleted those too. She sent new messages and said I was abusive because I gave her the silent treatment. I messaged that I didn't know what was going on, that I was at work, saw all her messages, then checked my phone again and saw the opposite of her first text. I said I wanted to give her time to calm down and then we could talk. She said not to bother and that she hates me and blocked me. Then she unblocked me. Apparently she also posted my image in a local "Are we dating the same guy?" Facebook group to warn other women about me. My coworker is in that group and showed me. She said I was emotionally abusive and terrible with kids. At this point, I'm going to take a break from everything and focus on Christmas shopping for my nieces and nephews. Dating in your 40s is something. Bloody hell, OP. So there was a downvoted commenter who was saying to OP that he can't take a joke, basically, and OP said no, apparently I'm bad with kids. We were raised to never ever make fun of people's names. OP on his own family's background saying, my mum was a single mum. My dad died when I was 4, when she met my stepdad. My stepdad, I call him Dad, is a great guy. My mum always made sure we are nice and polite to him, and he was going above and beyond for us. A commenter says to OP, I'd ask your coworker if she's willing to post your side on the site. That your ex forced a meeting with her kids even though you said you weren't ready for that. That her children made fun of your name while she laughed, so you excused yourself and left. Then she sent 60 messages while you're at work, then drop it. She shouldn't be able to ruin your reputation with people without people at least hearing your side. And it's up to them to decide who they believe. She will likely spiral on the app and then everyone will know she is full of shit. ETA, if your coworker is not okay with doing that, just say okay, no problem, and never bring it up again. Opie says, honestly, I don't want her to get involved. I'm not really close with her to begin with. She's in her 20s, so it would be weird defending a 40-year-old dude. Commenter says, count yourself very lucky that she exposed her insanity before getting knocked up. Sure hope you were using birth control. Opie says, I was, and supposedly she was on pills. My coworker thinks within a few weeks I get a message from her claiming she is pregnant. I really hope not. Commenter says, what do you mean, take a break? Dude, she's clinically insane. Run away. Opie says, break from dating and social media I meant. Sorry. And all I can say on the back of this one is like, at least Opie found out early, the back and forth, oh, let's stay together, followed by the abusive messages at the same time. Wild ass behavior. You would have got that in the relationship as well at some point. But what do you guys make of this situation? There were some comments, saying OP can't take a joke or this kind of thing. But the mum's behavior in this as well. What do you guys make of it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here today. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.